They call it a jungle primary system here in California because it gets kind of crazy.
The jungle primary, formerly known as California's top two primary system. The top two vote getters, regardless of party, and statewide and congressional races, advance to and face off in the November general election.
Well, the idea of an open primary is to allow voters to be able to move across party lines instead of having to wait to November.
So for voters, that means there's a single primary ballot in which they, regardless of party registration, can vote for any candidate.
Increased level of competition that would come from it. Maybe less power of the parties, or at least less dominance of the parties, because it could potentially open up space for independents. More voter choice, potentially even impacts on turnout, recognizing that our primary turnout is always low, voter turnout.
That was the goal, to make state politics more moderate and allow for the independents to participate. The proponents of the change were Republicans, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lieutenant Governor Abel Maldonado, though there was strong party opposition on both sides.
People who aren't Democrats or Republicans aren't reflected on the November ballot. They have somebody to choose in the primary, but not on the November ballot.
Mark Baldessari is with the Public Policy Institute of California and studies the impact of the top two system. He says an unintended consequence is that third parties are left out entirely.
In a majority Democratic district, two Republicans on the ballot, if there are many Democrats who are on the ballot.
Or vice versa. More intra-party competition because Democrats and Republicans are more likely to run in districts favoring them. And the more candidates from the same party, the more they are likely to dilute the vote, leaving room for candidates on the opposing side to slide into that top two positions. And that's exactly the fear with the governor's race right now, that the crowded Democratic field can allow for Republican Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco to box Democrats out of November entirely.
Is that fair to the Democratic voters across the state of California to not have an option? And just if there was two Democrats that made the runoff, I don't think that's fair to Republicans across the state of California.
Republican State Senator Tony Strickland opposed the proposition when it was first introduced in the legislature.
Primaries are the main battlefield. There's more money placed into primaries since the top two primary system passed.
And voters get bombarded with campaign material like advertisements. Experts say after the 2026 primary, we may see proposed changes like,
let's get those minor parties back on the ballot in November, and let's create a reasonable path for an independent.
Jenny He, News 8.